Pokémon anime is known for being fun, colourful, and often hilarious to watch. It's a show where battles between trainers and Pokémon end with a handshake and often a lesson to be learned. It's the kind of show where you expect good to triumph over evil, and even the scariest of situations usually have a happy resolution. But what if I told you that one episode from the Diamond and Pearl series broke away from all that? This is the episode that haunted me as a kid, and honestly, it still gives me chills even to this day. It was an episode that turned the familiar world of Pokemon into something darker, something unsettling. The episode I'm talking about is called Ghoul Daze, which aired in 2009 when I was just 9 years old. I was really excited to watch this episode, especially since the ones leading up to it were all part of the Pokemon Summer Academy arc, where Ash and his friends were invited to spend a week at a Pokemon training school by Professor Rowan. They had been learning to care and battle with new Pokemon, and in the previous episode they even discovered a mysterious Luminion. But I was soon to find out that this episode was different, very different from what I was used to. The fun and excitement from the last few episodes would quickly give way to something far creepier than I had seen before in Pokemon. So get ready to join me as we delve into Pokemon's creepiest episode. The episode begins with the gang being informed that today's task is to learn more about ghost-type Pokemon, and to see they aren't as scary as they seem. But to make things interesting, the staff have organised a race to some old ruins in the nearby mountains, where the students will have to team up with a partner, collect a medal, and bring it back to camp. And if you haven't already guessed, this would all be taking place in the dead of night. We then see each member of the gang find a partner. Ash pairs up with Angie, a new friend he's made at the academy, Brock teams up with a random kid, and Dawn partners with a class jock, but not by choice. Up to this point, the episode feels like any other fun adventure, and little me was thrilled to watch my favourite trio team up with new characters. But my excitement wouldn't last for long, as things are about to take a very creepy turn. As the pairs prepare for the race, we shift our focus to Conway, a familiar face from the Diamond and Pearl series. While he contemplates who to team up with, something strange happens. He spots an eerie, almost surreal arm beckoning him from the trees. Curious, he investigates, and comes face to face with a little girl who gives off a really unsettling vibe. In a chilling, almost outworldly voice, she asks Conway if he wants to come play with her. Yeah. If you hadn't guessed already, this girl is no ordinary child. She's a ghost, and things quickly take a darker turn when she possesses Conway, who then disappears off our screens for quite a while. This is where the unease really set in for me as a kid, as I couldn't help but wonder, is Conway okay, and who or what is this ghost girl? But then again, this is Pokemon, so at the time I figured maybe she just wants to scare the kids, maybe the medals are near her home or something. After all, we've seen stuff like this happen before with Brock and James in a previous episode from the original anime, so surely this must end the same way, right? So the episode progresses, and it's time to start the race. The students are informed that there will be a 5-minute gap between each team to prevent them from running into one another, with different groups starting from one of 3 locations. Ash and Angie head off first, followed by Brock, and then Dawn. Ash encounters some typical ghost-type Pokemon, and he humorously gives off the Pikachu for getting scared, which is honestly probably one of the funniest bits about this episode.
Pikachu, next time why don't you count to 10? Which
honestly makes you fall into a false sense of security, as you're not ready for what's yet to come. We then see Dawn on her own as the jock comically ran in fear from the ghost-type Pokemon. Completely alone, Dawn suddenly spots Conway wandering through the dark woods, in a trance-like state, all by himself. But where's the ghost girl? Maybe she abandoned him. Could she be using him to steal the medals? That's what was probably running through my 9-year-old mind at the time, but little did I know it would be much more sinister than that, as we then find out the ghost girl is indeed there, guiding Conway towards the edge of a cliff, clearly intending to end his life. I'm sorry, what? Is this still Pokemon, or have we stepped into a full-blown horror movie? Just as Conway is about to plunge to his doom, a Dusknoir appears, saving him at the last possible second, and sends the ghost girl fleeing into the darkness. This eerie scene is utterly terrifying, especially for a 9-year-old like I was at the time. First off, there's the horrifying ordeal of Conway almost losing his life, all while being possessed by a clearly malevolent spirit. The ghost girl's presence alone is enough to send shivers down your spine, but the way she silently glided backwards into the shadows, vanishing into thin air without a word, that's pure nightmare fuel. And the whole fear factor is punctuated by an eerie outworldly sound effect that makes your skin crawl, just listen to it. And if that wasn't enough, the music playing in the background is Darkrai's theme from The Rise of Darkrai, a haunting yet powerful track that ramps up the tension, making everything feel even more sinister. The atmosphere is filled with dread, and you can feel the weight of something far darker yet to come. Dawn then suddenly arrives and mistakes Dusknoir for the threat, thinking it was him who tried to push Conway off the cliff. It's at this point that Conway realizes something even more unsettling. No one else could see the girl but him, after Dawn points out that he was alone.
But Conway, you were alone.
And that revelation made me deeply uncomfortable as a kid. You see, my nanny used to live in a seriously haunted house, and I mean really, really haunted. Like, stuff happened all the time. So much stuff that I refused to ever sleep in a room alone when I stayed there. So the idea of seeing something supernatural that no one else could see, especially in a show which I considered safe like Pokémon, really got under my skin. And just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, there was an even scarier scene lurking around the corner. The rest of the episode centers around Dusknoir desperately trying to warn everyone to stay away from the mountainside, starting with none other than Meowth. But like many others, Meowth misunderstands Dusknoir's intentions and becomes terrified and faints. So to protect everyone from the evil spirit, Dusknoir reluctantly takes on the role of the bad guy, scaring everyone into fleeing back to camp. Once back at camp, the group learns of a series of mysterious accidents that have recently taken place at the mountain summit, with one accident leading to the discovery of a hidden cave behind a bricked up wall. And curiously, that's when Dusknoir first started appearing, as Professor Rowan confirmed there had been no sightings of it beforehand, which raises a chilling question. Why was the cave sealed in the first place? So with everyone back at camp, they must be safe now, right? Well, not quite, as Ash and Angie had gotten so far ahead they didn't even hear or see any of the chaos unfolding. Well, that is until they get lost while fleeing from a wild Pokémon, leaving them stranded, alone, in the woods, in the dead of night. As if that wasn't unsettling enough for them, we're met with the final and most terrifying encounter with the evil entity. Just like with Conway, the ghost girl reappears, beckoning Ash and Angie to follow her deeper into the forest. The pair, who are unaware or just really dumb,
Whoa, it's that way? Come on, Angie, let's follow her there.
decide to follow her blindly into the forest, as she leads them towards the ancient ruins where the medals are kept. Grateful and even more trusting of her now, they believe she's simply a normal girl helping them win the race. But the girl isn't done with them yet. She leads them towards a dark, ominous cave. Convinced there's something cool inside or just plain dumb, Ash and Angie naively follow her into the darkness. That's when Dusknoir appears, trying to stop them and save the day, but once again, they mistake Dusknoir for the villain. In their panic, they attack and knock him out, not realizing they've just taken down their only protector. This moment gives the spirit the perfect opportunity to strike, revealing her true sinister plan all along. Suddenly, a horrifying rift opens up in the depths of the cave, its gaping maw threatening to suck Ash and Angie into its twisted abyss. Honestly, this is one of the most unsettling sights I've ever encountered in Pokémon, both back then and to this day. The ghost girl stands there, eerily calm, uttering the chilling phrase, "Let's play," as her voice distorts into something truly nightmarish. Meanwhile, Ash and Angie are literally fighting for their lives, about to be dragged into a warp rift that surely leads to some kind of demonic hell. The atmosphere is thick with dread, and you can't help but feel the weight of their impending doom. Thankfully, Dusknoir suddenly awakens and charges at the ghost girl, sending her tumbling into the rift. But this is one of the most unsettling moments of the entire episode. As she falls in, her body contorts and distorts, twisting into a formless mass of darkness that lingered in my mind for such a long time after. Just as the rift begins to close, the entrance of the cave comes crashing down, sealing her away once and for all. Dusknoir then vanishes into the night, as it had never existed at all. Ash and Angie and everyone else who is now there are left stunned in silence, grappling with the shock and disbelief of what they just witnessed. The weight of this encounter hangs heavily in the air, leaving them questioning the very nature of the world they thought they knew.
The fact is, scientists still have a very long way to go before we truly understand our world.
Now, while the episode pretty much comes to an end here, there are still countless questions left unanswered. Why was the cave sealed up in the first place? Who is responsible for sealing it? Did a horrifying event like this occur once in the past? How did Dusknoir know about the ghost girl's sinister plans? And why did he disappear so suddenly at the end? And I think that the most daunting question of all is, where did that rift truly lead? What fate awaited Ash if he had been sucked in? These questions haunted my mind back in 2009. And even here in 2024, I still lack answers, as the events in this episode were never brought up again. I mean, sure, we have other spooky episodes, but nothing on the same chilling level as this. That's what made this episode so unsettling for me. It's a mirage of unanswered questions about a darkness I never imagined could exist in the Pokémon world. For months after watching, I couldn't shake the image of that rift from my mind. it left me feeling profoundly uneasy, especially considering that I adored Doctor Who at the time. Yet, somehow, Pokémon delivered its horror in a way that felt more disturbing. The fact that a Pokémon episode scared me more than a show about aliens, monsters, and stone statues that move when you blink speaks absolute volumes about how unsettling this episode was for me back then. Ghoul Daze was more than just a spooky episode. It was an exploration of fear, the unknown, and the unsettling realization that some mysteries may never be solved. This episode has forever shaped my perception of what Pokémon could be, making it a standout moment in the series. If there's one thing I take away from this experience, it's that fear can be found in the most unexpected of places, even a show meant for children. And that, my friends, is what makes Ghoul Daze truly the most unsettling episode of Pokémon ever created. For 9-year-old me, anyway. Thank you all so much for joining me on this deep dive into Ghoul Daze. What do you think makes this episode so unsettling? Did it leave a mark on you like it did me the first time you watched it? Or are there other Pokemon episodes that you found just as creepy? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more Pokemon content. See you in the next one.